Welcome to the Journalism Directors Forum. I'm Geneva Overholser, and I am especially grateful today to our guest Ray Meese, who slogged down here from Ventura, a good 2-hour drive, and I decided to invite Ray here when I saw a word online about a workshop. I think the workshop was the American Society of Newspaper Editors. Maybe you all were doing a
we had
webinar and various on using cell phones as kind of mobile newsrooms. And I thought, well, that's awful interesting. And they're nearby, of course, not that nearby, but so Ray graciously agreed to come and join us. He started out as a commercial photographer and then decided he wanted to do photojournalism, so he went to Fine School for Photojournalism, Western Kentucky. And he has worked as a photojournalist or a photo editor in Pennsylvania, Indiana, Illinois, Texas, Utah, and Oregon. This is a typical journalism career in my experience, before coming to the Ventura County Star. You had, what, 3 titles in 3 short years? Started as assistant photo editor, then became director of photography, and in his current position as visuals editor, he is overseeing the Ventura County Star's work that we are, I'm sure, going to find so interesting. So, Ray, thank you so much for being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
We'll keep this as casual as we can. If you have any questions as we're going through, feel free to jump in. I think this is probably the most intimidating group I have spoken to because it occurred to me I'm going to talk to college students about mobile devices. Many of them probably know a lot more about them than I do. And I'm going to go through some of our experience, what we're doing with them, how we're doing it, the problems we've found. Not say there's any necessarily right or wrong way to do something. This is just how we are doing it. We started looking at mobile devices probably about a year and a half ago when, like many newspapers, we started going through a couple rounds of layoffs. We've been through 2 rounds of layoffs, lost a number of reporters. We went from a photo department staff of 12 down to a department staff of 6. It took us from 10 shooters and 2 editors down to 5 shooters and 1 editor, myself. And since then, we just realized that we needed more bodies on the streets with some means of recording, capturing visuals, video, photos, information, utilizing Twitter and Facebook out on the road. And so this is kind of a look at what we've been from our experience. I mean, iPhone is, and I will say this right up front, right at the get-go, our experience is strictly iPhone. We have not ventured into Droid, any of the Droid devices, Android operating systems. We've had a couple come into the newsroom, and we've had problems getting video files off of the phones without connecting them to a laptop. If we do get them off the device, they tend to cut down the resolution a lot. So the iPhone has worked for us best in terms of visuals and being able to get photos and videos back to the office. However, we quickly recognized that this is not something that's going to replace our digital SLRs, our laptops, our video cameras. The quality isn't there. You can't take as good a photo with an iPhone as you can a digital SLR. You can't. The video is not as good as it is with the video camera. And so we have ventured into the iPhone, I would say 90% for covering breaking news, and that has been our focus with these mobile devices. And the whole intent is to get that information on our website as quickly as we can, so that many times when we have a traffic accident going on, it's on our website as it's actually happening. If we have a fire going in the area, it's on our website as it's happening. It's been a tremendous tool for wildfires, just for being able to quickly update the site as to what roads are closed, what neighborhoods are being evacuated, where the fire is. And I will say that I'll be speaking mostly about visuals when it comes to the iPhone. That's the bulk of my oversight on it. Though not completely. We do have a digital editor at the newspaper who also I kind of work in tandem with her as far as staying up with how we can utilize the phone for social networking. The first problem we started running into was battery life. Discovering that you start shooting video, especially with the apps that we're using. You're shooting a video clip, you're uploading it. While it's uploading, you're going back and you're recording another video clip, and it was just killing the batteries. And most people were running out of power on the phone before the event was even over, especially wildfires that are going on all day. The two solutions that we came up with, well, a couple. Mophie makes the Juice Pack Air. We started using this on some of our iPhones. Mophie also makes a little battery, essentially, a portable battery that'll recharge the iPhone. And Griffin Power Block was one of the other batteries that we've had really good luck with. It's taken the device from about a 20% charge back up to 100%, so it'll reduce the battery about 80% of its full expectancy. Second problem we started running into was audio. The iPhone microphone is just not designed to be recording high quality audio, or especially if you're talking about a distant subject. Lots of background noise, and even the basic factor that the microphone does not face the same direction that the lens does. So you have your lens pointed forward, your microphone is pointed to the right or to the left, and it's not picking up all the audio that you want. So we started looking at some of the microphones that are out there. Vericorder made a mini mic that we used for a while. Brando has a microphone out that does record in stereo quality, but it's kind of challenged as far as the direction that it picks up. Blue Mikey, and then after experimenting with a lot of different mics, we found a microphone adapter. A company called KB Connection started making an adapter that allows anyone to plug a condenser mic into an iPhone. So all of a sudden you've got any range of microphones that you can choose from. If you want a shotgun mic, we've even used it with some of the wireless mics that we've had, and had really good luck with the wireless mics as well. These are some of the smaller ones that we tried out first. Most of them did have a pivot to them, so you could kind of change the direction of the microphone. It helped a little bit. Most of them we found were essentially just intensifying the audio. And so all it did was boost the audio, and it still picked up all sorts of noise and background sounds. And so that's when we made the switch to the converter from KB Connection. And we don't actually use this Sony mic, but I just had that up there as an example so you can get an idea that basically with the simple adapter, you've opened up your iPhone to any kind of microphone that's out there. And KB Connection makes, last time I looked at the website, there were probably about 20 adapters out there for different types of microphones. Really any microphone you have, you could use. And the adapter is $12, something like that. You're not looking at a major expense to connect that microphone.
That's the KB Connection on the left?
Yeah, that's the adapter on the left-hand side. And that's pretty much what all of them look like. It's just a matter of what the input end is like, depending on the microphone. One other thing then we started noticing was even with the really good mics, we started getting static, really weird noises, and it took us a while to figure out that airplane mode eliminated all of that. The downside to it, of course, is that if you're out in the field and reporting and you switch to airplane mode, now you can't take incoming phone calls. If someone's trying to get a hold of you, if you're trying to post to Twitter, if you're trying to make a phone call, you lose all of that because it's cutting off your 3G or your edge connection. But what it does do is eliminate all the static and all the interference that is is feeding in through that connection that the microphone is picking up. And it did get to be very distracting at times. I was surprised at how much interference we would get by not going to airplane mode, even when we had a good microphone connected to it. The other problem we started having was, you're talking about a mobile phone. It's very small. It's very hard to hold it still. There's no image stabilization like you have on camcorders or video cameras, or even the DSLRs that have video capability have better image stabilization. And I think in general, we found our photo staff was a little bit better with it, just because they were accustomed to holding cameras, working with video cameras. They knew how important it was to keep it still. A lot of the reporting staff, we'd have them out there, and it was like watching Blair Witch or something, and you'd almost get sick from watching it. And so we started looking into how we can stabilize the image a little bit. First thing we came up with that we've started using a little bit is it's called the Alley Gubo, and this is just a solid piece of machined aluminum that the iPhone slides into on the back end, and on the top two corners and bottom two corners there are tripod mounts, and so you can mount this to a tripod on any corner of the phone. It also gives you a cold shoe up top, and so that's how we're using it. Is we've got the microphone locked into the top of the Alley, the connector from KB Connections running to the mic into the microphone outlet, and that's what we're getting our best results with. Even if it's not mounted in a tripod, it's at least a little bit more to hold on to. You get both hands on it instead of just one, and it does help stabilize it a little bit. The Alley comes with a wide-angle lens, which is a standard 37mm threading, and so you can pretty much go to any electronics store, video store, and find an adapter, 37mm, and vary your focal length. We tend to use it without the wide angle just because we're not usually that close to breaking news that we want a wide angle lens. If anything, we want telephoto. Cops and firefighters don't usually let us right up to the scene of something. Another case we found was an X-Shot iPhone case. This is for the 3GS only. It doesn't work on the iPhone 4. And it really does nothing more than provide a tripod mount, so you can mount the phone onto the tripod and help stabilize the image that way. I put this in as kind of a buyer beware. There are a lot of magnetic lens attachments. There are a lot of different devices out there that you can use to change your lenses, vary it a little bit, and there's a lot of junk out there that really kills the image quality, doesn't help things, and so would exercise caution when ordering something online. We'll try and get through some of these apps pretty quick. These are the apps that we are using. Real Director is what we're using to edit video in the field, and this is a pretty basic. I'd say it's kind of halfway between iMovie and Final Cut. It does let you work with multiple audio channels. Video pics. This was one other problem we started having, was this overwhelming sense that the journalists were having out on the field, going, I have to do video, and I have to get a photo for the website, and I've got to report on it. And what we found so many times was they were coming back with video, or they were sending video, and we didn't have a photo to put on our website because it was all video. Video Pics is a nice app that lets you go through any video clip that you've shot, grab a still from it, and it's not, no, it's not something you're going to put on A1 of the print edition, but for web, for our website, it definitely captures a high enough resolution. PhotoGene is the best app we have found for editing still images in terms of color balance, cropping, all of that. And we were working with the Tweetings app to stay up on Twitter and Facebook while the reporters are out in the field. Real Director, this is what the app looks like once you get into it. You start a new project, you can put an opening title on there, closing title, you can adjust your text and your style. You can put a transition if you want to cross dissolve or fade through black. You can set the quality. The output, it does render HD on the iPhone 4, which is why we are using this right now. There's no other apps that I'm aware of that let you go through, edit a movie, and output it in HD quality. And then once you have your video clips or your photos into your timeline, you can go through each individual clip and adjust your cropping on the image. You can adjust your transition in and out. You can delete the clip. You can put text over an individual clip. You can adjust the audio of an individual clip, or you can trim the clip if you need to make it a little bit shorter. And it's just two more screenshots of the Real Director app. The one on the left, grabbing a clip to import it into the timeline. The one on the right, a screenshot from trimming a clip inside. It does go in 1 second intervals, so if you've got a 5-second clip and you want to trim it to 4.5, you're out of luck. It's either 5 or 4. It doesn't give that specific, so you're looking at 1 second intervals inside of Real Director. Again, just more screenshots of the dissolve in and out, rendering the project. Rendering can take a while depending on how long the video is. On a 42-second video like this one, you're not looking at too long, but if you've got 5 minutes, you can put a 5-minute video together, you're going to be standing there for a while waiting for it to render. And that's where we've started to change the output quality a little bit, is just so it renders faster and uploads faster. So a lot of times a reporter will be out in the field, put a project together, and output it at low quality. Then once they're back in the office, they render the full quality version, and we just substitute it out on the website. VideoPix, this is the app I was talking about that lets you grab still images from a video clip. You can go through frame by frame, fast forward, rewind, get it to exactly where you want it, capture a still, and it sends it to the camera roll, which can then be emailed. PhotoGene, this is hands down the best app that I have found after working with Photoshop every day. This was the first app I found that let me work with levels, highlights, shadows, midtones, and just a color, work in red, green, and blue channels individually, adjust the exposure, crop it, rotate it, sharpen it. And PhotoGene's also the first one that came out that allows you to edit the IPTC info, and so the caption can actually be written embedded inside the photo before it's sent back, so the photo's coming in with a caption, that we're not on the phone with the reporter trying to write a caption for the photo that they've sent us. Some more screenshots from that. Saturation, color temperature, cropping tool. And then tweetings was what we have started using mainly because it allows us to post to Twitter and Facebook simultaneously. We can upload media, be it a video or a still photo. We can do just an audio tweet if we just have an interview or some audio that we want to put up. It also allows you to insert the location of where exactly something is at. That's been a huge factor for us with the wildfires. When they're out on the scenes, when they're out on the fire lines, they can post to Twitter exactly where the location of where a fire line might be. So we've got reporters out in the field. They're shooting, they're editing, and we have kind of looked at, we've taken two different approaches depending on what it is. If there's an editor in the office that can do the editing in Final Cut, what tends to work fastest for us is to have the journalist on scene shooting video clips, sending them. While they're sending them, they go back to shooting another clip, and those clips are just constantly coming into myself or the digital editor in the office, and then we are sequencing them together, getting them up on the website. But of course that's constantly changing. So we start out with a 1-minute video, then they send in more clips, we add it, and so it's a constant process of lengthening the video, editing it, but the whole point is just to get it up on the website as absolutely as fast as we can. The apps that are, some of these are apps, some of them are just means of uploading. PixelPipe was the first one we started using. We're moving a little bit more towards YouTube, just because they finally enabled the HD upload off the iPhone 4, and so you can get full quality HD video uploaded to YouTube. And then someone in the office can be downloading that and deleting it off of YouTube. We don't generally leave the clips sit on YouTube, but it's just a means to get that information back to whoever's in the office. We've used MobileMe a little bit as well. Email, of course, and MMS. These are all listed in order of how much they compress the video. So PixelPipe doesn't compress it at all, but of course that kills your upload time because you're not knocking that file size down at all when you upload through PixelPipe. MobileMe knocks it down a little bit. Email knocks it down even more. YouTube used to knock it down even more, but now that they've got the HD, but you do still have the option of going from HD to a lower resolution just to increase your upload time. And so this is the PixelPipe app and what it kind of looks like once you get into it. And it brings up all the video clips, all the photos that you have on your camera roll. And you can go through and select individual clips that you want to send. You can give it a title, a caption, save it, and then upload it. And so in this case, we had a traffic accident on 101. And as you can see, this is on a 3G network. We were looking at 9 minutes to upload this video clip, and it was not a very long video clip. So it looked great on the website, but we were looking at a 9 to 10 minute upload time just to get it back to the office. MobileMe works in a fairly similar way. Just go straight into the camera roll, go through and select the files that you want to upload, send it to MobileMe. You can adjust the info in it, title, description, route it directly where you want it in MobileMe, and then this is what it looks like on my end. Back in the office as the clips are coming in, and I can just download an individual clip and import that into Final Cut. We're not doing any direct posting from the devices to our website right now. The only direct posting we do is to Twitter. If it's something that's going on our website, it goes through an editor, so everything is routed back into the newsroom. The editor takes a look at it, edits it in Final Cut or Photoshop, depending if it's still or video, and then moves it onto our website. Well, that was quick. I was trying to get through that in the 20 minutes that I had, and I went a little bit over.
No, that's great.
So.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, I'm sure people have questions. I want to ask one, if I may. Are you also receiving video or reporting from citizens? I mean, is that something that you incorporated?
We have on our iPhone app, for example, any reader who has the iPhone app, there is a spot built into the app where they can send something directly to us. We haven't gotten a whole lot of that. And honestly, anymore, it seems that there are just so many people out there I probably average 5 phone calls a day from somebody that has pictures of something they shot, video or photos, and they want to know if we're interested. And usually only 1 or 2 of those calls turn out to be something from a mobile device. Which I wish wasn't the case, because usually what happens with us is, well, yeah, we're interested. Can you email it to us? Well, I'll be home in 3 hours and I'll download it and then I'll send it to you. Well, by the end of the day, you know, a fairly minor fender bender on the freeway is not a big deal 5 hours after it happens. While it's happening, if it's clogging up traffic, sure, we're interested in it. So I actually wish there was more mobile content coming that they could just send it right then and there.
Yeah. Well, questions. I know some of you all are doing some of this, so yeah.
Well, first of all, the Star is my hometown paper, so I visit the website quite frequently. And over the last 18 months, it seems like there's been a dramatic improvement in the website. And it seems to have really kind of expanded with more visuals and a much easier to use design and layout. And I'm just wondering if you've seen that translate into more traffic, and anecdotally, I know it's been improved, but what have you guys seen?
Traffic has definitely improved. We used to, a good day for us used to be around 150 to 175,000 a day. And that was, we get really excited if we hit 200 on a given day. Now we get really excited when we hit 300. Our average now tends to be more around 260 to 270,000 a day.
That's visitors.
Yes. Well, no, I'm sorry. 270,000 hits, or whatever you call it. Yeah. But it's definitely, and part of the web redesign came directly from corporate. Scripps, we're part of the Scripps, DW Scripps chain, and they own a number of papers. And if you go and you look at the Memphis paper, the Knoxville paper, their websites look exactly like ours. They're identical. And so it's a template that's handed down. It's good in some ways, it's not in others. Something that's unique for us is that we cover the county. And a lot of our sister papers don't cover an entire county, they just cover a city. And so for us, if somebody from Simi Valley comes onto our site, they want to see Simi Valley news. They don't want to see Ventura or Oxnard. And so that's been our challenge, is getting people to where they can find their local news on a template that's not designed for 7 different communities. So that's been tough for us.
I have 2 questions. One is basically, which is my sister who lives in this area. She's more county and country now, but she runs the animal rescue during wildfires. She's got big trailers and trucks. And she'll tell these most amazing stories, and I just think that you ought to have somebody where she can call you and say, I've been called, I'm out to rescue mini horses and pigs. Meet me there. And the stuff she describes, the fires bursting around her while she's rescuing these animals, would make incredible video.
Right.
I mean, I know I'm not going to be getting on the line to do it. So somebody ought to, that's the lead fee. But in that same vein, what has been the stopping point for you to not just be streaming straight from video phone to your site? I know you say you don't like to post things directly up yet. What's been your reason why?
The streaming, we have done streaming a couple times. We did it when there were some swimmers going to set the record, and they were swimming from Ventura up to Santa Barbara and down to San Diego. And so we did some live streaming during that. Streaming from a mobile device definitely does hurt the quality of the image. It's very choppy, and so it's got to be a pretty exceptional circumstance that, I mean, even years ago, watched CNN or something like that, and you'd have some really horrible, crappy quality footage of a plane crash, but they play it over and over and over again because they were the only ones that had it. They're the only person there with a video camera at the time had a really bad video camera. And so when you're talking about a circumstance like that, it's definitely something that we would stream just to have that live presence. Something like the Metrolink crash, had we been where we are now, we probably would have had one person there just for live streaming. We didn't have the capability at that time. But I think it takes a pretty exceptional event to justify live streaming. Of course, it takes a lot of work on the inside, getting that feed set up, getting that embedded in the site. And you are talking about a pretty bare bones newsroom, I mean, just myself going, it used to be myself and one other person to oversee all the photos. Then it went to just me to oversee photos. Then it went to me overseeing photos and videos. And now I oversee photo, video, and graphic. And so you're just talking about people who are stretched thin. And so a lot of times that's part of the call too, is we don't have a body to physically get this embedded in our site and get this all set up, especially on split-second notice. So most of our live streaming is something that we have some big event, we know it's going to be a big deal, and we plan for it ahead of time. And so we're shooting it on a video camera, feeding it into a laptop, transmitting and embedding it that way, doing live streaming that way, as opposed to live streaming from a mobile device.
How would you compare being able to, what you're able to give to your news consumers now with, you know, more ready mobile devices compared to when you had a larger staff? Are there any advantages to now, or is it really not? I mean, compared to what you...
Well, my favorite would be a lot of bodies and a lot of mobile devices,
right.
Obviously. That kind of comes down to a quality versus quantity issue, frankly. And that's, you know, I was having a short conversation before this even started, that this is what so much of this comes down to is, where do you draw the line between this is what's drawing traffic, this is what people are looking at, and this is good journalism. And, you know, our raw video, of all the videos on our website, what draws the most traffic is raw video that has not been edited, has not been touched. Some of it is the Blair Witch stuff, that somebody was there with a video camera and they've got it and they pushed it up to our site immediately. Is it good video? You know, no. I wouldn't sit there and watch it on my TV, but the hits are amazing. I mean, the traffic just pours in when that stuff goes up on the site. And so that's where we're kind of in that balance of, do we sacrifice quality for sake of getting every minor accident up on our website, or not?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have a triple header, but I'll make it
Okay.
fast. One is, have you found the Android phones have, you know, are there some of these apps there, or iPhone is the way?
A lot of the apps are there for the Android. We just haven't, like I say, our biggest dilemma was getting video off of those things, because it just compressed them so much before it would send them, and the video quality we were getting was absolutely horrible. It looked great on the phone. It looked great if you plugged it into a laptop and downloaded it. But if we're going to download something to a laptop, we might as well shoot it with a DSLR, not a mobile phone. If we're going to take that extra step in the field of converting media, you know, putting it on a laptop, using a wireless card on a laptop to then transmit, we'll just shoot it on an SLR in that case. And so generally how things go for us, if we've got a breaking news scene and we've got a reporter and a photographer out there, most of the reporters now have the mobile devices, and so they will shoot 2 or 3 photos, shoot some video, and send that. Meanwhile, the photographer is shooting stills that we'll use just for higher quality images. You know, they've got the telephoto lenses, they've got, you know, a lot more resources at their disposal. But definitely the biggest problem we run into is the idea that someone got it in their head that, boy, we only need to send one person now. And they can go out and they can write a story, and they can shoot video, and they can shoot photos. Kind of hard to do all that when you're talking about breaking news that's going to be over in 15 minutes. You know, it doesn't take that long to put out a house fire or to clean up a car accident, especially by the time we get to it. And so if you're looking at a scene that's taken 45 minutes start to finish, we're only there for 20 minutes of it because we've got to respond to it. And so that's been the struggle.
The other two were about training, you know, just how intuitive this is and the kind of training and with all the implications for willingness. And then the last one, and I apologize for all these questions, this is very interesting and a little bit off point, but whether you're having people, whether you have a way for people to easily view your site on their phones and how that's playing out as well.
Yeah. First part of that question, the training we do have, I mean, it's pretty informal. As we have the money, we buy iPhones, give them out to journalists. And that's another thing I would add too, is that we no longer actually even have reporters and photographers. Everybody is considered a multimedia journalist. And we have an opening right now, which is the first hire I can remember in quite some time. And they are not hiring a reporter, they are not hiring a photographer, they are hiring a multimedia journalist. And so they are looking for somebody that's going to come in and have the ability to do everything. So the training, as we get the devices, 3 or 4 people, new people get them. I usually sit down with them, go through the apps, talk about some of the basics of framing a picture, shooting video, what to look for, how to do it. But it's not something that that they're going off-site for, going to any official formal seminars or anything like that. It's pretty much all in office, and of course it's changing constantly too. Real Director, there's another app out there called First Video. It's just the number 1 ST and then video. And it's amazing what you can do with it as far as recording. You can do multiple interviews, you can name them, you can adjust the audio levels. The reason we haven't used it a whole lot is because right now it's limited to a 640 by 480 output. And so even if you download it to the computer, it's still compressing the video and you're still not getting the video quality out of it. But I just got an email from that company about 2 days ago saying that they do have that coming. So of course, once they have that HD output, that's what we'll move to. And so everyone will have to be trained on First Video instead of Real Director. And so that's the biggest nuisance, is just as the apps develop, then you got to go back, retrain everyone on the new Twitter client that you want to use, the new video editing tools that you want to use. The second, I forget where.
No, it was about the people, or whether you're making it easier, trying to make viewing on the mobile phone.
We do have we have an iPhone app now. We're actually in the middle of developing an iPad app. Again, that comes through our corporate office, and so they design the app and distribute it to all of their properties. And so our app looks just like Knoxville's app and just like Memphis's app. I like it, the one we have on the iPhone. With the iPad, and I'm actually on a team that's helping develop the iPad app for Scripps Corporate. But there are so many tablets coming out now running on different operating systems, and so we're definitely now looking more cross-platform as we develop the iPad app, that it's not specific to the iPad, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel for the other operating systems, that the app can be something that comes straight through there. But if you want to stay up with Ventura County Star, between the iPhone app, I think we have 4 or 5 Twitter feeds, one for breaking news, one for health, one for, and so you can follow Twitter, we're on Facebook as well. And so between the apps, and we do have just a mobile site as well, which works quite well on operating systems outside of the iPhone. Downside to our mobile site is it's not as strong on visuals. But we did, I'm kind of the Apple nut in the newsroom, and I'll see something coming down the pipeline and mention it, it's going nowhere, and that's what happened when the iPad came out. Everyone was complaining about Flash, and you couldn't watch our videos on our website because they were Flash-based. And I kind of griped about that before the iPad was out, because I knew it was coming down the pipeline. Sure enough, about 2 or 3 weeks after the iPad came out, we made the transition over to HTML5 on our video, so you can watch all of our videos on different operating systems.
Could I ask the students here, do any of you work for ITBN or ARN or Neontomy or Intersections, and are you using any of these tools when you're reporting?
No. Well,
No.
It's my first semester at UTBN. Currently I'm working.
Do you see an opportunity maybe to do that down the road?
I think it's a good possibility, especially since all of my journalism is going to a really good medium, so
Right.
I think it's definitely something that's these kids can look into.
Anybody else? I'm sorry. Any other students working for any of the news lab? Okay, sure, Casey.
I just tried to download one of your apps, but I need a 4G, so I guess that's that. New phone. You know, one of our couple of things that I'm really curious about is in trying to struggle with what to teach students. With the applications moving so quickly and
You have my sympathies.
importance of judgment, critical thinking, you know, deciding what to shoot, that kind of thing. We know the brain takes a certain amount of time to process and think. This is very fast. So I actually had a conversation with somebody last night that maybe what we ought to be teaching is sort of like iron journalists, where, you know, you give them whatever and then you put it together and quickly get something out. But I wonder what's happening to that, and I wonder what that means for the skills that we should be focusing. Also, the other thing I wanted to know is one thing you mentioned, and these are all related, reminded me of the old days in newsrooms. The way you did get trained was in the newsroom, you know, basically by your editors and by your colleagues. And it seems like it's going back to that to a certain extent. So what do you look for in people who are coming out of, the people coming out of journalism schools who have this training, and if so, how do we know?
We, you know, for example, this position we have right now, you know, they posted it as multimedia journalist. And we got, I was getting phone calls, and I'm not even connected to the position in any way. But so many people just didn't even know what that meant. Well, what are you looking for? What do you know? There is I mean, the more diverse you come in your skill set, the less specialized you're going to be in one thing. And right now with this position, for example, you know, we have our strong writers, our staff that they have not made the transition to this because they hold their ground on their quality of reporting, and they've got the experience, they've got the background, and they are not really being forced into this. I don't know if I should really be saying that.
No, but I think
that's the reality.
You have
of it,
both models going at the same time, because magazines are doing really well. The old, I mean, I think that.
And I think for us right now with this position, anyone coming up, anyone walking in applying for this position that could give writing samples and web samples. Here's some videos I shot, here's some photos that I posted. That would be the, honestly, somebody who's mediocre at those 3 or 4 things would take the position over somebody who is a really strong writer.
Really?
Because we've got the strong writers. They've got the seniority. They've got, if any position in that newsroom is going to be left open for just reporting, it's going to go to the reporter that's been there for 20 years, not to someone that's just coming onto the staff. And so, in my opinion, you know, that would be, and we're hoping, you know, if you know, everyone's considered a multimedia journalist, but we do have kind of a difference in that we also have visual multimedia journalists, and visual MMJ is one who's going to do video and photo and a little bit of reporting, if need be. And someone like that right now, if I bring somebody in and all they have are stills, someone else comes in and they have video experience also, of course we're going to go with somebody that has photo and video experience as opposed to just photo.
One just quick follow-up. If somebody comes in, you hire this person who, let's say, is mediocre in all these areas, I assume there's room for them to grow in the job.
Sure.
In any.
Right. They can, yeah. I mean, if they want to develop if they want to focus more on one thing, they certainly can. And again, when it comes to the mobile stuff, you know, I can't emphasize enough that we are looking pretty much just at breaking news. And of course, not everyone reports on breaking news in our newsroom. When we first had, I think the first order we had was for, I think, 6 iPhones. And so email went out to the newsroom. If you are interested in an iPhone and you're interested in responding to breaking news, covering breaking news, working quickly, getting it on our site, let us know. And the reporting staff had to kind of apply for the iPhones. They weren't just handed out. And so once we had 6 people in the newsroom that had them, whenever we had breaking news, guess who's going? The person with the iPhone, you know. And so that's, you know. But we do have some, I mean, I wouldn't say that all the reporters, there are some reporters in our newsroom that don't have really strong skill sets focused on anything. We do have some, one of our best reporters is also now one of our best mobile journalists. He's really adapted to it and really taken off with it. His stories are exceptional, but he's also developing this skill set very well too. Yeah.
You're explaining how this technology is being used for breaking news. I'm wondering, sort of following up on what you were just saying, can you see this kind of mobile technology also being used in the future for more explanatory narrative kinds of things? And as another part of that question, do you see this, you know, this basically conveying of information rather than explaining it or you know, looking at sort of narrative stories? Do you see that this is more where things are going in, you know, in your paper and less in terms of explanation, or do you see them coexisting comfortably?
The direction we're going is we're behind the times in terms of technology. Our digital SLRs are, I think, about 8 years old now. They do not have video capability. And so we're looking at a big purchase company-wide right now, where we're looking at making the transition to DSLRs with video capability, video stabilization equipment, microphone accessories, all that. And that's what we are looking at using for the more narrative project type pieces, and the mobile devices staying pretty much just for breaking news. They are very capable. If you want to take the time on an iPhone to shoot an exceptional video, you can. It can be done. It's not to say that, and you'll see a lot of smaller newspapers are, because they don't have $5,000 for a video camera and another $3,000 for all the accessories that go with it, but they do have $400 for an iPhone and a microphone and an owlie and a tripod. That I've done a lot with it personally. I haven't done any journalism work with it, but just, you know, I sit in the office all day long. And so, but weekends, that sort of thing. My personal life, I go out and I shoot a lot of video with it just to see what's working, what's not working. And you really can shoot some amazing video with it, especially now with the wireless mic. You know, I did some testing out at the ocean where you've got, you know, all the ambient noise of the Pacific Coast Highway and the waves crashing, and I stood a good 30 feet from the iPhone and the audio was perfect, you know. And so it is a very capable device. I just wouldn't lean towards it unless your restriction is finance. If your restriction is finance and you just can't afford the expensive equipment, then yeah, you can make it work. But it's definitely, everything is a workaround. Everything is, it's not built in. How do I get around this flaw on the iPhone? And that's what a lot of this stuff is for. You know, the microphones, for example, that was a flaw in the device that we had to work around. You know, the audio was lousy, and that's critical in these videos. You know, it's not just about seeing what's going on. If you've got an interview with a PIO out at a fire, you want to hear what he's saying, and you want to be able to listen to that narration as you're watching the video of the fire. And so that was just one of the flaws that we worked around. Image stabilization, you know, another flaw that you can work around it, but would it be easier to just pick up a camera that has it built into it? Yes. So.
Who are your main competitors for news on the web or mobile? Is it major metro dailies? Is it television? Is it web-based operations?
Probably our biggest competitor usually comes from wildfires, and it usually comes from companies that own helicopters, which we don't. And they're set up to stream it live, and so they've got live video on their website, an aerial view. Where I think we excel over those organizations is the specific information that people want. I live on 37th Street, and I want to know if my neighborhood is being evacuated. I'm at work right now, is my house in danger, that's the, you'll get all of LA watching just to see the fires. But the people who are looking for the news, looking for the information, I think that's where we excel.
Are you individually responsive to them? Somebody writes you and say, I live on such and such street. Is somebody on your website watching for that kind of thing?
We do. Well, I mean, we're constantly updating the maps, and we've got reporters who are out in the field. They're using Twitter location-based tweets, so we can see exactly where they're at, where the fire line has grown to, what neighborhoods. But we do get calls, and we certainly do our best to, yeah, your neighborhood's okay, or no, you should probably think about trying to get there to get yourself out of there. But we do get phone calls to that sort of thing.
Any last comments or questions? Yes.
This is a real quick technical question. You mentioned you use MobileMe to upload. I'm just curious, have you tried Dropbox and compared it? Because from what I read, Dropbox is said to be a bit faster than MobileMe, more stable.
It is faster. I haven't. The problem is getting the video off the phone and into Dropbox. That's the. And now there might be an app out there now that allows media transfer from the iPhone to Dropbox. I don't know. But we've MobileMe has worked for us just in the multitasking well, before multitasking was made available, that was a big issue, and we found, hey, MobileMe lets us upload while we're shooting a new clip. So that's why we went that direction, was because that was available even before multitasking was made available on the iPhone.
There's a Dropbox app now.
Dropbox.
So you can do it. Dropbox has been great. So a lot for transferring big files.
Yeah, there are a lot of Dropbox apps out there. I just don't know if they let you generate content and add it to it. A lot of the apps out there for Dropbox are designed that if you already have something in Dropbox, you can use the mobile device to go into a folder and open it.
That might be true. I haven't tried it. So
yeah,
check it out.
It's worth
I'll
exploring.
my desktop.
Anybody else? Well, please join me in thanking Ray for coming.